Hi, this is Wishop, and I am doing a full shield spread geomancy reading for luck blockages. I've been talking a lot in the last couple readings about luck, and speaking of luck, you still have till midnight tonight, Thursday, September 13th, I guess, to send me an email to the address listed on my About page on my YouTube channel. I'll also try to remember to put it in the down bar. And if you send me an address, you'll be randomly entered to win a cool copy of the Trick or Tarot Halloween themed deck by Doug Thornsjoe of Duck Soup. So I did a deck walkthrough of that recently, so you can find that in the videos if you're interested. It is a really beautiful kind of vintagey deck with a lot of interesting layers to it. So I encourage you to enter if you haven't done it. I also will have, by the time this is posted, have posted a video explaining how I made my own geomancy deck of 64 cards out of 4 playing card decks. How I chose playing cards for each one of the 16 glyphs that exist, and then basically kind of the method to my madness. A little bit I will explain here just because it'll come up is that red cards or red glyphs are basically positive, as in playing card divination. Black ones are more challenging. The clubs are neutral. The spades tend to be negative. Even numbers in my system are stable energies. Odd numbers are moving energies or transient energies as we think about them. So because I now have, some of you have seen my little mock-up cards that I made where I put each corresponding glyph, like you can see these look like upside down bowls, and this is the upright version of that. Here's, this glyph shape, and here's the other glyph shape. I made these little mock-up cards, and I would use these for head, heart, belly, feet readings, but you can see I only have so many of them. And in order to do a full shield spread, which is 15 glyphs, you have to have available up to 4 of each glyph. If you get more than 4 of a certain glyph in a shield spread, it's sort of a sign that you need to do it over. It's considered kind of an invalid reading. So you need at least 4. So I needed a deck of 64 to cover all the glyphs. So I am actually working on my own geomancy decks, which I've said before, but it's a very long-term project. So in order to have something so I could do readings on the channel and potentially readings for other people who would like them, and I will post more information about that on the About page. I wanted to be able to dummy up a set that I could use. So to me, these card assignments make sense. You can watch my video for card geeks if you are more interested in how I chose it and how I set it up. But if you're just interested in going, what might be some blockages to luck, some areas of blockage for luck, because I've been talking a lot about sweetening our relationships with luck and having that lighthearted, carefree attitude toward luck that will allow us to not only land butter side up, but to feel more charismatic, to be more optimistic, to recognize the opportunities that come. All of that is about luck. I wanted to do a reading for the blockages. I will do another shield spread reading at some time in the future, not too far in the future, but to talk about fixes. But this is an in-depth reading to talk about the causes. So the first thing you do when you're doing a shield spread is you generate the mother line. So what I did was I rolled dice because I really like, at least in one section, now that I have the card deck, I could just shuffle it up and deal it like regular cards, but I like at least one thing with coin flips or dice tossing to really harken back to the older roots of geomancy. And I will also say, now that I have a card deck, of course I could try just dealing all this randomly, like a random 15 cards. But I would say if you're going to do that, really use another kind of cartomancy system that honors that and works well with that. I like the fact that using geomancy, we add the glyphs together, we build on them and combine them in interesting ways to generate more lines, because to me that is connected to the way that your decisions today fuel your tomorrow, and the things happening to you today may be fed by the past. So I like it very much. So I'm going to keep doing that. But I rolled the dice. I'm re-recording this video because it kind of coughed while I was streaming before. So that's why I already have these cards. But I rolled the dice and I got Acquisitio as the first card. It's red, so it's a good card. It's stable energy. Just to point this out in case you want to look more closely, it's Jupiter in the element of fire, which is Sagittarius. So in case you're interested in that kind of thing. This is Tristitia. This is the Latin for sorrow or woe. This is Tristitia, which is the Latin for sorrow or woe. This is Carcer, which is the Latin for jail or prison. Now, the way geomancy glyphs build upon each other, this one affects this one affects this one, this one affects this one. So some people work left to right and some people work right to left. I work always left to right, so it's always going to go this direction. I don't think it matters which way you choose as long as you're consistent. But that's the way I choose to do it. So when you see negative cards, because you're reading in combination, negative cards with each other could make a positive, right? Like this could be a limitation of sadness or an end to sadness, sort of the way you read Lenormand. You know, if you had a sad card here or a card of strife and you had the coffin here, maybe you would have coffin and like rods or the whip, and you would go, oh, we're limiting the punishment. So there can be those kinds of effects at work. So it's never a good idea to just look at the cards and go, oh, because they're very rich and they tell a lot. They tell a lot more than just what one card says. So we'll start with this mother's line, and we've got head, heart, belly, feet. And the thing I noticed right away was that with Acquisitio, which is one of the great cards to get, gain, it's a full pantry. Everything runs like clockwork. It's a card of currency and wealth, and of course, luck, because it's ruled by Jupiter. So this is exactly what we're looking at. We want to know luck, and we have this conception of, I think, from the past, because this is the mother's line, of our ideas as having that lucky spark, that somehow we have this quality of ideas, this quality of thinking or of creativity, creative insight that should be able to bring us prosperity. And yet it looks like in the past, we might have had disappointments in love, certainly, but because this is a luck reading especially, and you can be lucky in love, but a lot of what people are talking about with luck is all sorts of material issues. So yes, lucky in love, but if you're lucky in love and then you're unfortunate in every material realm, you may not feel that lucky. So where I'm looking at this, this is the heart, the belly, and the feet. The feet here are stuck, right? And we want to know about blockages. That was the purpose of this reading. And I have 3 glyphs related to Saturn right here, blockages. It's great because that's what I want to know about. I want more detail in the area of blockage. So this is feeling stuck because these are like the 4 corners of a prison cell. You can see there's sort of this little limiting cell here. Tristitia can be old sorrow and old woe. Also the 10 of spades, as a card, sometimes these are related to little headstones, right? So this can be a battlefield with the long buried dead. So there's a sense of old wounds, and because this is Aquarius here, it brings in questions of judgment. And I feel like we thought that we had great ideas. We thought that we had creative spark and creative potential. We thought that we had the ability to generate a fruitful life from our creative expression, our imagination, our ideas. So definitely things that are in the realm of the mind. So it could also be creative expression. It could be your communication. It could be your learning. Again, we have Jupiter and Sagittarius, so it could be that education was going to be the key to your ongoing prosperity. It could be the learning you've done, your adventurous spirit, your innovation. Certainly, I know I've said that. And yet, here, we experienced blows to our courage and to what we might call our intestinal fortitude, to our guts. We experienced setbacks in those areas. So in the past, we might have been going forward with like a lot of bravery, like a lot of somewhat blind, maybe even naive enthusiasm in some ways. And we took some blows for it. We maybe lost some battles or felt that we did. We felt in some way that we failed. And it has led to this sense of sorrow inside. I think there's a sense of sorrow, a sense of failure. And also, I really felt, because we had the two tens together, that there's a sense of having let people down or having failed in a public sense that is embarrassing to our self-image, that we somehow feel humiliated by it or disappointed in ourselves, or that we that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And so the result is, we didn't make the moves that we wanted, and the feeling left over from all this was one of being trapped. Like, I tried, I failed, I thought I had great ideas, but I must not have, because I failed spectacularly, and either I let people down or everybody saw, everybody knew. And now the feeling is, I don't dare move. I don't dare leave. Prison might be prison, but it's safe. So this is Saturn in Capricorn. So this can represent a stable situation. And now we've become very gun shy about leaving a stable situation because there is this pain in the past. And this was in the air, this pain is in the air realm, right? And the air realm is the realm of mentality. And I think it's really led us to ask, maybe my ideas weren't so good. Maybe I thought they were good. Maybe I thought I had this talent, and I really didn't. I really didn't, because if I really were talented, I wouldn't have failed. And that can be tough, because most people who succeed do fail at least once, many more times than once. But surviving failure and learning from it, but not letting it make you so shy and damaged by it that you can't move forward, that is a real challenge. And especially if you feel like you failed in a public way, or a way that you experienced public judgment for it, then you're really burned. And so what's really happening is, instead of clinging to this identity, which was a stable identity for a while, like you were, like something you were born with, right? Instead of clinging to this idea that you are special, you do have great ideas, you do see something in a unique way, you are able to learn things or research things, or you're able to innovate in some way or to blaze a new trail. All of this is calling this into question, and there's a real lack of faith. And that lack of faith is being argued here as something prudent. Well, it's just smart to doubt myself, because after all, I have failed. I did let everybody down. I did let myself down. So I shouldn't have a lot of confidence in myself, right? That's the smart thing to do. It's wise and prudent to just stay where I am and not to move. So let me get to the next line, which is the daughter's line. So the way you get the daughter's line, and I will post links in the corners and at the end of the video to my DIY Geomancy series, which tells you how to do a shield spread in the first place so that you can see how you derive it. But basically you get the daughter line by adding up all the heads together. Then we add all the hearts. And when I'm saying adding them, I mean these little parts of the glyphs: head, heart, belly, feet. We add them all together and we come up with the evens and odds, which then lead to the next glyph. So here we go, and we get, for the daughter line, Tristitia, Letitia, Populus, Via. So if you think about the logic that I used when I picked the playing cards, we've got more black cards here, so we can still see there's trouble in the current day. That's fine, because we want to know about that, because we're asking about blockage. So the fact that we're seeing a lot of black cards hopefully means that we're getting at the heart of the problem. So in the daughter line, we have Tristitia again, our old pal. So 3 times, whoa, has shown up. So this is a very emphasized point, this past pain, this past sense of failure. And what's really a shame is that it's migrated from really taking a punch to your strength and to your guts. It's now migrated to your head, so that instead of having a lot of confidence in your creative expression and your ability to create gain for yourself, you've now declared this a failure too. Does that make sense? Or we have. If this applies to you, if it doesn't apply to you, obviously leave it aside. But if this applies to you, perhaps this is a way that you can look at this. So now this sadness, which was experiential, it was in your heart, you experienced a challenge and a loss and a failure, and it affected your sense of bravery, your sense of courage, and your confidence in your own intuition. But now the one thing that you really thought you had going for you, you sort of lost faith in that too, and you've said, look, I thought I was a winner, but no, I really am a failure. I am a failure. That's my identity. The face that I show the world is not this optimistic person anymore, is not this trailblazer, this go-getter. The face I show the world is somebody who is sadder but wiser, and I'm not going to push forward anymore. I have accepted my failure. I've accepted my place in life. And one of the things that I see here is that we've got Tristitia, this sadness in the belly, this what you might say a loss of appetite, mistrust in your instincts, this kind of thing, all these like creative belly things. Now we've replaced that with populace, meaning we don't trust our guts anymore, so we ask everybody else what to think. Here you have the waxing moon, which is what it would be for this card. There's more in my video about that. But the idea is we're gathering other people's opinions here. Populace is itself a club, so it's a neutral card, but we are basically, as a result of this pain, we just spend a lot of time gathering other people's opinions because we sure don't want to be this kind of fool again. We are going to be wise. We are going to ask everybody else's opinion. We're not going to trust ourselves, because why should we? And in fact, The only option we see here is for feet, for action, is do or die. We've basically set up a situation where change in our lives will require some sort of horrible ultimatum, some sort of all or nothing. We're thinking about it that way. So ways you can think about this with luck are, well, if I don't win the lottery, there's no luck. There's no luck in my life because if I don't win the big jackpot on the lottery, well, then that's it. But you're not thinking about, well, what if you won second place in the lottery and you got $100,000? What could you do with that? How would that change your life? You know, we can close doors, even if it's not the lottery at all, right? It can be something else entirely, but lottery is a lot of times what people think of with luck. We think that there's only one door that something good can walk through. And if it doesn't come through that door, we don't see it and we're not pursuing it. This looks like we don't even want to take little incremental steps of movement because we think the only way to take steps of movement is by disregarding everybody's opinion and being a fool. So what we do is we spend our time trying to be happy for other people. We can't do what we want because we're losers and we don't know how to do anything good. We can't trust ourselves. So we just look at other people's successes and try to be happy for them. Or maybe we tell ourselves, because again, Jupiter's here, so luck, we tell ourselves they got lucky. I wish I was lucky, but everything worked against me. And so I'll never be lucky. Other people get lucky, but I'll never be. And that's just how it is. That's just how it is. I'm just doomed, and that's just how it is. Now, this is obviously a very overstated case, but when you're looking for blockage, I believe you're often looking for a very strong emotional or personal reaction because that tells you where your resistance is, you know. I was actually talking to a friend of mine and I reacted very strongly to something she said, not about me, it was about something completely separate. But my reaction was so strong that I had to go back and examine it later and go, why did I take such a dislike to this topic? I really have to think about it. And it was very enlightening for me to do that. So sometimes the things that we really dislike, that we really respond negatively to, can tell us a lot about ourselves, and that's partially why I'm doing the blockage reading. So I'm positioning this in a very negative way because I'm trying to uncover if there are stories about blockages in luck that might be useful to consider or to think about. So this is the daughter line. This is where things are now. So where things are now, we'd like to move. We might really like to move. We might like things to be different, but we have told ourselves that to do it is too much of a sacrifice. And really, we're kind of losers anyway. So we should just take whatever little joys life offers, whatever temporary pleasures or glad tidings there are. And this sort of looks like maybe we do have some warm relations with other people. We are trying to be happy for other people. We do try to have these moments of joy and maybe to be happy on other people's behalf, but we've embraced this wounded identity or this loser identity, and we no longer trust ourselves. And so no matter how much we want to move, we're holding ourselves tight. You know what I mean? We're locked down. So let's get into the nieces line, which is a little bit more forward looking. So this is kind of like what happens if we continue in this way. And the way you get the nieces line, I'll just tell you, you sum these two together and you get the first niece. You sum these two, you get the second niece. You sum these two, you get the third niece. Just cursor again. You sum these two, you get the fourth niece. So here's the thing. We got another Saturn card. So we have Tristitia 3 times. We have Carcer 2 times. So out of 12 cards, 5 of them are connected to Saturn. This is a blockage reading. And you can see all the black cards in the spread so far, and you can see all those spades. So what has happened by embracing this loser self, it puts us in conflict with our deeper self that does have gifts to offer, that did have that spirit of adventure, and that is creating a lot of inner conflict. Like, we think we can just, at least, in a storyline I'm telling, if this is the present, we think we can just get away with being happy for other people and just accepting, look, I'm a loser, I tried, I failed, so be it, that's just how it is, I had my chance, whatever. Yeah, sure, I'd love to move, sure, I'd love to do something different, but I can't because I'm a failure. And other people don't think it would be a good idea. And the other thing I want to point out is that consensus, which is what populace can be, consensus can be its own kind of graveyard, because the new great ideas don't come out of what we're already doing and what everybody already thinks. They come from having a new take on something, from taking a new angle on something, from a new development. So you have to leave the safe comfort of consensus to develop anything new, to make progress, to build on anything, to make a good revision. You have to leave what is to go for something which is not yet. So I think the idea here is we're holding us prisoner, and then maybe we're blaming other people for it. Other people say that, it's not a good idea, and, we're losers anyway. So it's easy to go along with that and to feel pressured by that, especially if we have the sense of having let people down in the past. We don't want to let them down again. So when they say, oh, you're not thinking about doing that again, are you? We say, no, I would never do that. That's not smart. I don't want to be a failure. But our feet want to move. We want a change. And we might be getting fidgety, right? See the way Via has preserved itself? We went from this point of being locked down to getting these real antsy feet, these fidgety feet. And even though we've tried to adopt the identity of loser, it is creating internal strife. Rubius, which is the card of Scorpio here, is at war with itself. It can be a card of vice, of addiction, of fighting. So what happens is we think that we can take these gifts and just try it once. It fails. It failed maybe spectacularly. It might have failed really awfully. So now we're just going to say for the rest of our born lives that, look, I'm just a failure and that's it. And I'll be happy for other people, and I'll just try to get my joy from keeping them happy, and that'll be how it is. But our feet are fidgety. Our feet want to move. We want to go somewhere else. And we want to reduce our dependence on this consensus. We don't want to be locked down by this. In fact, here we have Carcer. So we are seeing, as this affects this one and this affects this one, we are seeing this consensus as a jail. It's holding us prisoner, and we are getting very antsy. And here in this future position, in the head, you see the Rubius card, which can lead to escapism and vices of all kinds, and wars with ourself, and arguments with other people, and strife and conflict. And while we used to maybe, or in the present, you're finding, oh, I'll just be happy for other people, here you're not even going to feel in the future that you can be happy for other people. Like, even that little bit of joy in their good opinion, or the happiness that you feel for their good fortune, even that is going to be limited to you because you are at war. At least in this reading, right? We are at war. And it is going to become increasingly unstable, right? Because this is stable, 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 stable. These are all even numbers. Here's odd, odd, even, odd. This is a prison, and these things are all in motion. So this identity that we may have sold ourselves as being a loser who doesn't have these inherent gifts, who didn't come into this world. This is the cardinal sign. This is Aries. This is the first house of self. You came in as a bright, shining light. And the abandonment of this identity is creating strife. For a while, you just felt beaten down, but in the future, it may create real strife because part of you absolutely wants to move. And this would be the 12th house. This is Pisces, because these also assign to not only like sort of past, present, future, but these are also all the houses. So this is spring, summer, fall, and winter. And then these are your cardinal houses and your fixed houses and your mutable houses. So you can read it in many, many dimensions. It's really rich. I just love it, love it, love it. So if I look here and I have this waning moon in Cancer, it looks like your emotional security is leaving. The one thing you could depend upon was that you had some sense of emotional security, but even that is being lost to you because I feel like it's being lost in jealousy. Because when you see other people make it, so to speak, you just remember that you didn't make it, or you didn't give yourself another chance, or you didn't get another chance. And it is really creating conflict and making you feel, like I said, at war with yourself and at war with the heart that you want to have. You want to have a generous and loving heart towards other people, but you're losing that, right? That is in the future, that's getting squeezed because you're telling yourself this is a sustainable situation, but it's not. It's moving. It's moving. You know, these were all stable. These are half stable. These are more like 3/4 unstable. So we have perhaps with the area of this blockage, which looks like it's tied to past failures, past wounds, loss of face, loss of social standing even, or standing among people whose opinions we cared about, that has hardened. And so maybe we tell ourselves that it's hardened like a diamond and we'll be able to hold on and just sort of get through the end of this life just as is. But it doesn't look like it. It looks like things are moving and shaking, and your ability to put a happy face on it is changing with time, because this is a lie, right? This identity you've taken on as a limited person who only finds sorrow. This is a card of discernment. Part of you knows that's a lie. That's not true. That's not who you are. And it's creating conflict. It is creating war. So let's go to the nieces, let's go to the witnesses and the judge. The way this works in geomancy is you add these two together to get the first witness. You add these two together to get the second witness. And then you add the witnesses together to get a judge. Sometimes these are called the mother and father of the judge. Let me do this so we can see the whole spread. So the mother and father of the judge, part of the reason we call it that sometimes is because this can be like internal circumstances. This is external circumstances. So there can be a yin-yang kind of quality there. But we have the witnesses and the judge. If you were doing a shield spread, even for a complex situation, and you needed an outcome card, what you're looking for is to get the final judge. Okay. So what is the final outcome here? A Missio, 7 of spades, a problematic card of loss, which is Venus and Taurus. See the shape of this? It's broken bowls, upside down bowls where you lose what you have. So this, to me, is signifying that this stability is somewhat false, that we've created a false stability around basically putting band-aids over wounded situations that we have, around things that we tried or failed with or felt unlucky with in the past. And we think those band-aids are holding everything together, but actually they're coming loose. What you have here in the internal situation, here's acquisitio, which is gain. Here's fortuna minor. This is a lucky break. Here's the head and the heart. There's this lucky break. It's transient. It's a stroke of luck. It, comes from on high. It comes from the fairy godmother. And it is going to result externally in conjunctio, a choice. So union or conjunctio can be a crossroads card. So you can be bringing things together like an alchemist and combining them. So this can be a card sometimes for meeting up with people or making alliances with people. But it can also be a card for making a choice from one path to another. In this case, what's happening is if we maintain the current attitude towards ourself that biases other people's opinions of us, or at least what we think they think of us, which is not always true, that biases that over our own instincts, that adopts a feeling of ourselves as permanent losers. That's it. The battle was fought. The battle was lost. We lose. And ignores the fact that our feet, our little wise feet in the moon and in this sort of emotional quality, they are tapping. They want to move. They are ready to go someplace. And we are telling ourselves it's not wise, can't do it, other people wouldn't agree. And it is creating a highly unstable situation in which we may end up losing anyway. That we could end up losing, Seven of Spades, some of the things that we're trying to keep, because in locking down this self-image, we've created such a false impression of ourselves, and we are so denying who we are that it's creating pressure that has to come out somewhere. And it's kind of exploding in our self-concept and in conflict. It's maybe making us, because we have via persisting here, we might be making moves and we don't even know why we're making them. That would also be connected to Rubius. We're following impulses. We don't even know why we're following them. We're doing things, and it's not exactly in a wholesome way. We're following these impulses because we're just so frustrated and we don't seem to be able to stop ourselves. So rather than take poorly chosen action, because we're just proceeding almost on a subconscious level because we don't trust ourselves and we're mad and we're frustrated and we're angry, so we do potentially even self-destructive things. And we're actually sabotaging this illusory stability that we set up. Luck is going to come in some form or fashion. Luck is going to come like a little, I make this card in my little mock-up deck. It looks like a wand. To me, Fortuna Minor is like the godmother's wand. It comes here. It is a blessing. It's going to come, and with it is going to come a choice to take a new path with your self-concept, or I think to lose, to just say, well, that was a nice temporary boost, and now I'm just going to go back to the crap that I'm in. I'm going to be satisfied to just keep trying to hold on and to lose a little more every year to lose a little more of my own self-esteem, and even perhaps, you know, you might think you're maintaining other people's good impression, but sometimes when we're really overly compromising our own integrity, we're not keeping their good impressions anyway. So this is this is kind of a rugged reading, obviously, but I'm reading for blockage, and that's what we're trying to do. So if any of this hits home for you, I would love to hear it. If you're just interested in geomancy in general and you haven't seen a detailed shield spread, and really I could look at this in so many more dimensions, it is like Lenormand that way. You can read it from multiple directions and in multiple dimensions, and each one then elaborates upon the original meanings and enhances the original meanings. So it's very, very good for snapshots of life and for sort of deep questions. But this question was about blockages, and it looks like if we maintain our relationship to luck, and especially our relationship to our own self-identity, as far as being lucky, being gifted, comes into play, we're going to end up losing anyway. No matter how much we try to hold on to it, we're going to end up losing anyway. We're going to limit the good impression other people have of you. We're going to lose our sense of joy. We're going to lose our ability even to be happy for other people, because we're going to feel so frustrated and jealous and possibly succumb to self-destructive impulses or conflict, interpersonal conflict and strife. So the idea is, if you see a lucky break, you have a choice to redefine, to incorporate, or to choose differently your attitude about yourself. And I think that may be a critical piece of this puzzle. So I will do another reading in the future, not long in the future, about possible approaches and tips and areas for improvement of luck. But this is just, where are we hurt? Where are we blocked? So hopefully it resonated for you. If you're interested in a reading, look at the About page on the YouTube channel, and there will be more detail on that. Also, thank you very much for your comments. I really appreciate your likes and new subscribers as well. Please enter for the Trick or Treat, the Trick or Tarot deck giveaway if you haven't done that. And yeah, until next time, rock on with your bad selves.